Gender-based violence, and we will be then continuing our conversation and our discussions then as we welcome Siyabulela Jentile, President of the Civil Rights Movement Not in My Name. A very good afternoon to you, and thank you very much for joining us here on SABC News.
Good afternoon, and thank you for this opportunity to join me.
As a start, I must say I'm really happy to finally have a man on the show discussing this issue of gender-based violence with me. Repeatedly throughout the month, I've had very many women coming onto the show, and we, of course, have our own ideas and perceptions of what should be done to end the scourge of gender-based violence. But, you know, if you take off your hat of Not in My Name, in your analysis as a man, what is your view on what exactly should be done in this country to end this terrible scourge we're faced with?
Sure. Thanks again. And look, one, I would really like to say that it is very shameful and embarrassing to be a man in South Africa today for obvious reasons. And secondly, and I think what is most important is that as men of this country, we need to take collective responsibility for gender-based violence, whether I am an abuser or not, or whether I believe in it or not, whether I support patriarchy or not. But what I think that we should be doing as a collective is that we need to take that responsibility and start working towards practical programs that will, see us addressing patriarchy as a system that gives us privileges as men, that puts us at the top of the social hierarchy, and puts women at the bottom. So that is what we should be doing collectively as men. And I think everything else will start from there. We need to admit that we make up a bigger portion of the problem.
Sia, I'd like you to talk to us, please, about the work that you're currently doing. We see a lot of your hashtags on various social media, hashtag Not in My Name. Talk to us about what you're doing in terms of fighting gender-based violence as a grouping.
Sure. And what we believe in at Not in My Name International is that most of our interventions must be channeled towards assisting boy children, resocialization of boy children, because we believe that the violent men of today have inherited social scripts that have been, over generations been toxic, and then they manifest today in a form of violent men. And one of the programs that we are currently running now is called Train Them All, which is championed by our head of communications, which says that the police or law enforcement agents and agencies need to be trained to deal adequately with cases of gender-based violence, because it's clear that the criminal justice system is lacking at some point. Secondly, we've got programs that deal with boys specifically, whereby we take them to camps, we take them hiking, we talk to them, we get positive role models to try and address them, because we believe that, if you start them young, you are, addressing potential perpetrators of the future. So those are some of the programs that we are doing. We're also in the process of trying to engage the Department of Education to see if it's not possible to try and change or relook at the life orientation curriculum. How can we have part of the curriculum teaching boys to be positive and active participants in the society that will grow up to be positive role models? Over and above that, we've got programs whereby we assist women with cases that have been previously neglected by the justice system. We make sure that they go back into the role, and then there's convictions. We need to start people being arrested, and we've seen some being arrested. We also, assist women with shelters, those who need protection. But all these interventions, as I said, they are just us dealing with symptoms. We needed to deal with the root causes of the problem, which is the socialization of boy children. So we needed to confront these toxic masculinities, which are constantly protected and defended in every area of our society. So we've started programs now. We're going to churches, because churches have become crime scenes. Men of God and pastors, they are abusers at these times. Some of them are rapists. We need to address them. We need to, in our workspaces, we also have a program, by the way, which I forgot to mention, which is a gender sensitivity training program in the workspace for corporates, because women also in those spaces are being abused. They are being looked down upon. They are being harassed. Also involved in a case now at the South African Football Association, whereby a woman is being abused by a group of men, and subsequently she was let go from a vice president position, which is Mary Alidwap. So we've got a number of programs, but unfortunately, unlike some of our colleagues, we don't enjoy the benefits or the support and the partnership of our government.
Yeah, I'd like to bring in another dynamic into the work that you already sort of doing. I mean, I was just looking at the video there of the young lady who was recently murdered, the Gwaza, and they're at the funeral, and her brother managed to speak on camera, and this is someone who's definitely going to be dealing with a lot of trauma as time goes on. Are you planning to kind of give support to those young men who've experienced having, whether it is a mother or a younger sister, someone very close in their family being murdered in this way by other men? I mean, at the end of the day, violence begets violence. So, is there a concern that, we're having these men who are then, or these young men who are then having to deal with these sort of traumas and then just kind of being left in society? Not to say that a man who's experienced this will definitely go into violence, but certainly this is a gap that I wonder if it has been addressed. And he himself mentioned that he wondered how, as he watched all these cases, he wondered how these families who have experienced their sisters, their daughters, mothers being killed or violence, he asked the question of how they'd coped in the past, and here he was in this situation. And I wonder if this is something that you're kind of looking into.
Definitely. We've got a program called Not In My Name, Men's Imbizo, whereby we meet, unfortunately, due to COVID-19, we had to pause it, but we meet with men, and most of these men are men similar to my brother that was speaking, but also it's men who themselves have been rehabilitated perpetrators. So we come together, we share stories, and that is a safe space that we've created for men to come together and speak. And I think it's very important, especially because we have formed partnerships with professionals such as psychologists and social workers who, time and again come into the space and assist us pro bono for people like that. And I will be talking to my Eastern Cape convener, who's in King Williamstown, to try and get in touch with the family. We'll see how we can develop some relationship with him. But of course, the magnitude of the problem, it's bigger than just today, there's media reports that another woman was found dead in the Cape Flats. So that shows you that we are indeed in a crisis, but we all need, as I said earlier, to take collective responsibility and be aggressive against those who are perpetrators of violence against women and children.
And ultimately, who do you, in your view, believe to be responsible really for failing women? We have men abusing women, killing women, and those men who aren't guilty of doing such will be on social media platforms saying, well, it's not us, and in fact having hashtags like hashtag not all men, the very men that should ultimately be assisting us. Who indeed can you say is really a failing woman, particularly in this country?
All of us. All of us. And I will tell you this, patriarchy has survived for so long as a system because it depended also on the support of women themselves. And, spaces like these conversations, they give us an opportunity to learn and unlearn. Because I promise you now, there are even women who are protecting some of these abusers, and they see nothing wrong with that, with what they're doing. So it then becomes the responsibility of everyone, men and women, but most importantly, men, because when you look at the statistics, it is us who make up larger number of the perpetrators. And it's also important to know that sometimes when you say gender-based violence, people think that you refer to one-sided in a conversation, which is why a lot of men feel that they don't need to be a part of the conversation. That's why you have not all men, but not me. When you speak gender, you speak both male and female. So we all need to play a very, very pivotal role in curbing the scourge of gender-based violence. But largely, it is us men who are failing the women of this country. We are failing our own children, and we are failing ourselves.
All right, Sia, it's been a pleasure speaking to you, and thank you very much for the work that you're doing, and we do hope that you get the necessary support to continue with your work. Siyabulela Jentile from the Civil Rights Movement, Not In My Name. Thank you, sir. He's the president of the Civil Rights Movement, Not In My Name, pardon me.